powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Dennis Bragg.
And I'm Jill Valley. It's not all that was owed, but a settlement of nearly $1 million to clear delinquent taxes for the old Smurfett Mill property is a major relief for Missoula County and its junior taxing districts.
Now everyone can concentrate on cleanup issues and getting the land productive again. Thursday's settlement announcement came after weeks of intense negotiations with Wakefield Kennedy, the Washington-based lender and development firm which wanted to protect its interest in the property under the control of M2 Green. The hammer for the county came in a new law enacted by the legislature, which allowed the county to seek legal action claiming proceeds from an auction of mill equipment last summer.
We listened to what the people were saying in Bridgetown, how they've been harmed by non-payment of taxes to the detriment of the citizens there, to the school there, to the job force there.
The settlement totals $967,000, or 89% of the total taxes and penalties due. But for local jurisdictions like Frenchtown Schools, the settlement is huge, over $300,000, means the district will no longer be spending its reserves.
We're really only waiving a portion of the penalty and interest, and the only reason we're allowed to do that is because of it being in the legal system that we could do that, because normally we can't. But it is a big relief.
Yeah, this is a huge step, whether it's the school district or the fire department out in Frenchtown. They've been short these tax dollars for a long time, so it feels great to be able to make this step to at least try our best to try to make them whole.
We still don't know what will ultimately happen to the mill property. M2 Green's plans for a technology center appear to have hit a dead end. But with the tax bill resolved, there's anticipation of getting the lands contributing to the economy once more.
Hopefully, I mean, if Wakefield Kennedy is willing to pay the taxes and foreclose, they've got some ideas, and so hopefully it ends up with jobs in the end, which will be good too.
Today's settlement covers all but one parcel of the mill property and doesn't preclude the county from seeking future legal action if the tax bill remains unresolved in the future.
Business owners, developers, and other stakeholders say they're pleased with the progress of the Libby Asbestos Superfund cleanup. As
MTN's Jack Ginsburg reports, now they're talking about how the community moves forward.
The former Stimson Mill is part of the larger Libby Asbestos Superfund, and the cleanup at the site is now complete. The EPA and Lincoln County Port Authority held a roundtable meeting to discuss the long-term vision and future steps for the reuse of the 400-plus acres at the site of the former mill. This was a follow-up to an April meeting where the Port Authority decided it would want advice from regional economic redevelopment experts who have seen success in reusing sites similar to this one. One of those experts, Steve Nelson, explained some of the things needed to be successful in a project like this one.
The community's got to be part of the deal. You got to have a pretty good bank. And you got to have just a buy-in by all the economic development folks that are in that area, and then you just got to take some risk and go do it.
Director of the Port Authority, Tina Oliphant, says that one of the most important parts of collaborative talks like these are to get everyone on the same page.
One of the biggest things that came out of this was the incredible importance of working together in this community, our different entities, our different public agencies and entities, to leverage all our resources, assets, strengths to move forward on this.
Just a few days ago, a devastating fire took SK Finger Joint Lumber Mill, and today the Port Authority announced that this 100,000 square foot building was now cleared and available for another company to rent it and use it.
Oliphant added that the clearance of the new building creates even more of an attraction to the business park.
With access to BNSF Main Line, the Great Northern Corridor that runs from Seattle to Chicago, it is a huge opportunity for this area to attract and support business development.
Local businesses owners like Cabinet Mountain Brewery's Kristen Smith notice all that Libby is doing to escape the shadow of asbestos and believes the town is headed in the right direction.
There's just a positive outlook, a more positive outlook than there had been when I moved here almost 9 years ago. So there's increased optimism. We have more businesses downtown than we had 6 or 7 years ago. So there's definitely momentum in the right direction for Libby.
In Libby, Jack Ginsburg, MTN News.
Turning out to weather. Some rain this evening, but things should quiet down in time for the weekend. Here's Aaron Yost with your first forecast. Aaron?
Yeah, we're going to see a little bit more activity before the work week is over, but as we push into this upcoming weekend, especially the second half of it, I'm anticipating some pretty decent weather out there for us in western Montana. Today, though, Hamilton First Security Bank ICAM showing you those gray skies that brought just about everything with them. Rain, snow, freezing rain, wintry mix, everything. We do continue to see a little activity out there right now. We'll hold on to that overnight tonight and again into your Friday. I don't think our window of opportunity is going to really present itself for freezing rain. We could still see a wintry mix though from time to time throughout the day tomorrow. Got the extended forecast on the way.
A damaged fiber optic line was responsible for shutting down internet access for many in Flathead County and forced Kalispell 911 to reroute incoming calls to Missoula. The line was cut this morning by a construction crew in the Kalispell area. A local CenturyLink crew repaired the fiber line, which took a few hours. A power line failure that plunged much of Puerto Rico back into darkness has been repaired. CBS News reporting the power line that failed appears to be a line where Whitefish Energy did work as recently as October 25th. Much of Puerto Rico has been without power since Hurricane Maria smashed the island September 20th.
The proposed Hotel Fox is another step closer to reality, with the Missoula City Council Committee agreeing to send the project on to the full City Council for a vote. Last week, the Missoula Redevelopment Agency was briefed on the latest plans and development agreements with Hotel Fox partners. Plans are for an $80 million hotel and conference center on the Riverfront Triangle property on the west side of downtown. The project would involve an agreement where the city provides the land and Hotel Fox Partners builds and operates the conference center for the city. The project, which includes the full-service hotel, restaurants, condos, and parking garage, now goes to the full City Council for a vote on Monday night. If the council approves, it's still expected to be another 18 months before construction can begin.
Polson police dealt with what they thought was a hostage situation this afternoon before they discovered it was a hoax. But somebody called 911 claiming to have 5 hostages inside a Polson home and demanded $5,000 and threatening to kill the hostages if the demands were not met. Polson schools were even briefly locked down as a precautionary measure, but it turns out the incident was unfounded. No real threat to public safety existed. There was a joint investigation by the Polson Police Department, the Lake County Sheriff's Office, and the Lake County 911 Center. This incident remains under investigation.
Mountain Line managers say they're working with Missoula police after receiving a series of threatening phone calls earlier this week. Mountain Line spokesman Bill Pfeiffer tells MTN News the transit system received 3 voicemails threatening an employee. Pfeiffer says the caller did threaten passengers or buses, but he says the agency takes all threats seriously, so they were reported to police immediately. He says Mountain Line implemented its own safety protocols and notified staff, including bus operators, and those threats remain under investigation. The Montana Supreme Court upholds the constitutionality of the Flathead Water Compact. Early last year, the Flathead Joint Board of Control mounted a legal challenge to a small part of the compact, which aims to establish tribal water rights in the Flathead Basin. The board argued the provision was unconstitutional and should have had 2/3 majority for legislative approval. But the High Court decision affirms both the provision and the way it was approved. Congress is still waiting for approval on that compact and also tribal approval.
We're only 3 months into the school year, and already one class at St. Ignatius High School is taking its native Salish language by storm, an example of a new generation that is eagerly embracing a legendary language. It's not a foreign language, it's a native language, and in this classroom at St. Ignatius High School, these students are giving a voice to Salish. She's one of a handful of students learning the language. Her Salish instructor, Naomi Bilodeau, is already thrilled at the progress this class is making this year, learning a language that struggles to be heard. She tells us only 21 tribal members are fluent. She wants to be another one.
There's 60 people now that are actively learning, including myself. We're just not going to let it die. We're just motivated to keep it going, to share what our ancestors shared with us.
For many of these students, Salish was spoken by their elders, so learning their native language honors them.
I've seen it dying out over the years. It's not a slow process. I think within the last 6 months, about 5 to 7 fluent speakers have passed on.
The sounds are different, the letters are too, but an old language has met new technology. Now there's an app that helps learners hear and say words, learn culture and history.
There's muscles and there's sounds in Salish that you don't normally use in the English language, so you just have to practice those things. It does take a while You build up those muscles in your mouth and you just start practicing.
Naomi is encouraged that the year's just begun and her class is almost through the first workbook. She believes her kids could go further than any class before them, learning a language that is inherent to their culture.
Our tribal elders, it's so important to them, so if it's important to them, should be important to us.
And that Salish language learning app is available to anyone to download for free, which I did, and I've been playing with it. It's pretty neat.
And I spent so much time on the coast with Coast Salish. I just
Yeah.
love hearing that. Great story. Really like that. Up next, Erin is back with a forecast heading into the weekend.
And the Christmas season has officially begun in Montana. See what Montanans are doing to celebrate coming up after